Did such an excellent job in summer of '93 with just the looks that these characters would have, and that there was this tension, and you didn't know at first what it was, but there was these hushed tones, or and you would see the looks on Frida's face of concern, and I love that because I went in cold, not knowing what the movie was about, and it built up to that. But I think you said that you believe that the audience is intelligent enough to understand complex emotions without showing, or excuse me, without saying a lot. Can you talk about that?
Yes, it's just that for me it's interesting. So basically when you are in real life, you know, like you don't always have someone telling everything that's happening, or people telling exactly how they feel, you know. So real life is not, sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not so explicit, you know. So, and I like when it's like that, because so I like to show this in the film, you know, like somehow to establish this game with the audience where you just put them into a situation, and you give them some information here and there, and then they have to kind of link this and understand the relationships between the characters and understand what just happened and all that, you know. So for me it's a game with the audience that obviously they have to think a bit, you know, and but for me I feel this is more interesting, you know. So, and it's a way to, so I like subtleness somehow, you know, on the way of explaining things. And also because there is something, I always think there is something that it's very revealing to me, that when I write something and I think, okay, do I want to shoot this? Do I have a desire to shoot this scene? And usually when they have a lot of dialogue and a lot of talking and explaining things, I'm like, oh, that's boring, you know. I don't really feel like I want to shoot this, you know. So this is kind of like a good thing for me to know. And then I end up like taking out all the dialogue and just explaining things with little gestures, you know, and because I really feel like shooting this more than just dialogue, you know. Right.
So let's talk about the day you actually sat down to write it, or maybe you actually already wrote this years ahead and you finally, I'm not sure, but...
No, not really. It was actually, so after making this short, I decided I wanted to start making, like I wanted to make this as a first film. And I was about to make my grad film for the London Film School. So I tried to write a short about that, and I realized that it was too short and I needed more time to explain this story, so that's why I went to do Las Pequeñas Cosas. So the idea was there, and I shot my grad film in my village, so it was very inspiring to be back and to start thinking about this story. And I actually started writing when I finished the school, and that was June 2014, more or less, and we shot summer 2016. So it was about 2 years. But the first step to write the script, it was to go to my parents' place. When I say my parents, I mean my adoptive parents, and I spent some days there, and I talked a lot to them, and I kind of asked them a lot of questions and tried to make them remember some situations that we lived when I arrived there. And I also scanned all the pictures of my childhood, and because they were very inspiring, you know. The thing is that my memory was very abstract, you know, like I could remember some emotions, but I didn't remember like lots of specific things, you know. So the photos were very useful because they are a way to keep memories, you know, and there is a story behind each photo. So it was they were very inspiring. So between what I could remember and my family stories and also these photos, I wrote like a first draft of the script, and that was it was actually very fast. I don't think I will ever write something that fast, because it was like in a week I wrote this first draft. But then obviously it didn't have much sense, you know. It was just these moments together. It would have been a non-narrative film somehow, you know. So then it was when I started to read a lot about children's psychology and what a kid can understand when they are 6 years old about death, you know, and the adoption processes and all that. So so it was a way for me to understand the journey of Frida, to understand why I acted as a child, you know. So it was very interesting to kind of do this research, and this helped me a lot to kind of organize the script and working with the emotional arc, you say that, right, of the character, and actually I made so there is a lot of things that I invented. Like in the film, actually there are like 3 or 4 scenes that are real, and the rest is fiction. But it all the starting point of everything is like emotions or some things that that really happen, you know.